Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation Magazine. This is what it used to look like when we printed it. Grabbing some archives here in May of 2021. Derek Rogers, director of construction at Christian Brothers. Know him well. They had a place right down the road from where I used to live. And always like holding a magazine. Let's see how big this issue was. This was 160 pages. And I was sitting back then. We did a hybrid event at a local studio, and I'm sitting by the soundboard checking it out with my Georgia Swarm Indoor Lacrosse Championship jersey on. And anyway, my hair was a little less gray, and I had a little more hair in that picture. But I just turned 62 a couple of weeks ago, and it's always fun though to look back and see what was going on. This was basically 4 years ago, and but our last issue we printed was August of 2021, and we still do print on demand, but don't miss the post office, don't miss the printer, and it's been an amazing transformation from print face to face to digital. And last year we had just under 49 million people hit the website consuming our content. And hopefully this year, if everything goes well and we the algorithms or stay on our positive side, we'll probably end up between 70 and 80 million interactions. And those are all real people, not bots. So it's just been amazing. So everybody out there on the wild, wild web, everybody that finds us and consumes our content, you're gold in my eyes. I mean, thoroughly. It's been no in my wildest dream did I ever think that I would ever have that kind of traffic. But sometimes you're forced into making decisions, and a lot of people had to do back in March of 2020, and that's what we did, and we went digital. So I'm sitting out here on my porch. Some of you know I've been building my house for the last 10 months. I finally got moved in towards the end of June, and we're still getting out of boxes. Basically, we're unpacked, and my studio is just getting finished, so I'm gonna eventually head on up there. But I actually like sitting up out here. I do them out here on my porch. I got the woods behind me that have coyotes, bear, bobcats, all sorts of predators. Got the chicken wire on the fence, and at night I got to go out with. I got to be armed at night when I go out there with the light on because you never know what's going to jump over the fence. We had a black bear that roamed across the driveway the other day, and someone caught it on their security camera. And I was like, oh my God, I can't, I know there were bears up there, but I didn't know it was going to go be right down. Actually, the land behind me, this was all woods before we cleared it. And it was like the highway for all the predators. They would come through my land, go across the street into my neighbor's yard. And then that was woods that would go all the way down to the lakefront. And so I've been kind of invaded their space, but it was like the highway. And some of my neighbors like, oh yeah, we used to go hunting on your land all the time. There's only 50 of us up here. So, but anyway, I think it's nice to do it up here, but I'm going to get back in my studio and in my real surroundings. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. And anyway, hope everybody's having a great week. It was hump day yesterday. It was my son and my wife's birthday. They were born the same day. And he came up, went out in the boat and had some dinner. It was really good. Had Texas sheet cake. My wife made it. If you've never had it, it's awesome. Look up the recipe. But great day. And hey, it's Thursday and boom, tomorrow's Friday, TGIF, and woo, the weekend and the dog days of summer. It's a little overcast, but it's humid and hot. So today, I've got a nice gentleman in one of my favorite cities out in Denver. His name is Brian Cross, and he's the sales and marketing director for Rocky Mountain's snow retention system, Snow Guards. Brian, say hello to our listeners out there in Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Well, hey everybody. Hope you guys are having a good day.
Yeah, and listen, I told Brian I went to DU, back in the 80s and lived out in Colorado. Had a house, we had a house up in Vail forever. And I asked him, hey, are you a local or are you a transplant? And he said, I'm a local. So we kind of had our little chit chat before we got on, and always nice to see someone that grew up there and kind of knows all the old school things that that where I used to visit when I was, back in the day. And some of that stays still there. Some of it's been redeveloped, but you know, it's really cool to talk to a Denverite, a real Denverite. So, Brian, the way we're going to do it is we're going to do your discussion in three parts. You're going to tell your story, where you grew up, where you went to school, sports, kids, if you're married, how you ended up where you are today. Then we'll transition into lessons learned over the last 5 years, and we'll talk some new products or trends that you see, in the roofing or snow retention market. And then you'll leave your contact info on positive thoughts or thought or phrase, and then we'll finish out. So with that said, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
All right. So yeah, my name is Brian Cross. Grew up, as you mentioned, in Colorado, out in Golden, which is the foothills. So it's kind of sandwiched between Denver and the high mountains.
And
Um,
what's the big famous thing that's in Golden? Come on, you know what it is. Coors Brewery.
oh yeah, of course. Yeah, all the beers made out here.
Yeah.
Uh, Banquet specifically, that's just my beer of choice. So yeah, and that's right down in Golden, right on the river. Growing up, it was always there, and I've had several friends that have worked there throughout my history. So, grew up here, and it was the best place I think I could have grown up is in kind of the low foothills of the Rocky Mountains, because I was able to go outside and play outside and not have to worry about the dangers of the inner city. But at the same time, when we wanted to do something, we were a 20-minute drive from Denver.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ideal. I could do what I needed to as a kid, which is just roam around and fields and forests and whatnot, which was a blast. So yeah, I grew up here, went to school in Golden, also went to school in Arvada, but kind of switched around. My dad was a contractor, built several homes, and so every 2 to 3 years we'd move, and when we'd move, it would be like a mile away. So I lived in 6 different houses over the course of my childhood, all realistically within Golden. I did move to Evergreen towards the end, but it was an awesome way to grow up. I appreciated it. So yeah, went to school in Golden, finished in 2012, started working with my dad for several years, and he did all sorts of things, right? So general contracting, building homes, ended up doing solar and geothermal, which was a lot of fun. Did HVAC, did a bunch of government work. So my, I guess my history as far as work wise, I've done most things in the contracting field. Not proficient in all of them by any means, but I've dabbled, which I think helps me a lot in my role. So after doing that with my dad, I went into automotive for 7 years and wrote service and was an apprentice mechanic for a while, and kind of got that out of my system, right? Something else, and then went back, worked with my dad some more, and it ended up that Rocky Mountain Snow Guards was needing part-time help in their warehouse, right? So this was 2018. So I started as a part-time warehouse laborer. And now I am, the manager of sales and marketing for the company, and do all of our product development and testing and technical things. So it's a ton of fun. I'm blessed to be here.
Yeah, my family's been in construction since 1888, still in business today. And we're in demolition, recycling. We were in recycling before sustainability was even a word. And when I grew up, all the grandsons, we all had to work in the scrapyard. When you got your license at 16, if you wanted to drive, you had to work in the scrapyards. The granddaughters, they had it easy. They didn't have to go out there. But the boys, that's the way it was. It was old school. Hey, you got to get up and go work for Uncle Frank, the superintendent. And he was a mean SOB, but I learned a lot from him. And you never wanted to be late. You better be out there ready to burn some steel at 7 in the morning. But, everything that I learned, during that period molded me who I am. So all the things that you did, your childhood kind of sounds like me, that, you worked with your dad, he did some, different things, and you picked up some stuff, and then you kind of worked out, and then here you are today, kind of in that construction sector, but everything you did with him molded you who you are. So,
Absolutely.
very, very cool story. Um, uh, what school did you go to in Golden after you got out of high school? Was it School of Mines? Is that where you went, or
Oh no, it was high school. So I went to Golden High School.
they went to Golden High? Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know the School of Mines for that's where everybody becomes a geologist. All right, it's a really really cool school. We used to play them in lacrosse and fun place to go. And there was always good guys over there. We always had a good time going over to the School of Mines.
Yeah.
So
I think that's probably the biggest school in Golden, for
yeah,
sure. But yeah, tons of engineers. It's a really mixed bag in Golden, right? You've got kind of the older folks, and then you've got a bunch of young college kids, a bunch of high schoolers, a bunch of little kids, and it's a fun environment.
hey, the Coors Brewery. Every year we would take the pledges out there for the Coors Brewery tour. You have to do it, and the river's right there on the water. It's so cool, and what a first class organization. And I'm glad it's still rolling there. My dad, before Coors actually became the big behemoth that it is, we used to get he used to bring back cases of beer when we left Colorado, and it was before they had they just had the push button release where they didn't have the tabs on there. They just had a little button that you pushed, and the air would come out, and then you'd be able to drink the beer and stuff. But I mean, I'm talking way back. You probably don't even see any of that stuff anymore. But you know, back in the day, hey, it was a regional beer. And I mean, if you weren't out in Colorado, you probably didn't even know about it. Way back when. But
Yeah.
now everybody knows the silver bullet. So,
Oh
uh,
yeah. No, Coors is super cool, right? So they have their tours that they do, right, where you pay and you get a whole tour of the factory, and then they take you down to the beer or the bar, and you get a couple of free
yeah,
beers.
the taste test. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so they actually have a short tour where you just get in the elevator and go down to the bar, and you still get a couple of free beers.
Nice.
That's what a lot of people would do is they just say, "Oh, I'm here for the short tour," and go and get a beer on Coors.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I've been out there plenty of times with the pledges over the years, and it was always a good time, and good fishing in there too. I mean,
Oh
just down
yeah.
the river, it's awesome. I'm telling you, when I lived out there, I skied, but Colorado, there's so much to do during the summer, much more than there is in the winter. If you're a ski bum, it's a great place to be. Best powder in the world. But in the summer, you got the rivers, you got the lakes, you can camp, you can golf, you can do all sorts of stuff. And I believe me, I did everything when I was out there. But all my friends after I did my retail training out at Levitt's Furniture on Route 6 out in Lakewood as you get
Hmm.
into the foothills. And after I got done, all my friends either went back to California or I'm a Yankee out west. They went back and I was the last one. And I was like, the Cherry Creek Reservoir just isn't doing it for me anymore. And I was in a landlocked state. I was like, oh, I'll just come back and visit. So but when I go back, I totally can enjoy, you know, what I was able to enjoy while I was out there. I
Oh
mean
yeah.
it Colorado during the summer, man, it's a completely different place than it is during the winter, but beautiful.
Oh
And
yeah.
so much has been done. I was blown away. I did an event down in Colorado Springs, and before I-25 between Denver and Colorado Springs, hour and a half ride or so. And it was just rolling hills of just green rolling hills. Now they put the train in, and basically I-25 is just Sea Springs is almost like a suburb of Denver, and Centennial and Aurora. I mean, it's just boomed. It's amazing with what they've done with urban sprawl and controlled it nicely, and yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, I was shocked. When I went
Yeah.
out there, I was like, God, it's been a long time since I've been out here, and they've done a lot because that was just all rolling hills between Denver and Sea Springs. So
Oh yeah. And
enough.
now it's little city after little city the whole way.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they put the train in. Yeah, it's mind blowing when you see what they did. So, um, let's talk about March 2020. Uh, your every city had cranes up. Everything's going low unemployment. People are busy. It's still kind of winter out west. All of a sudden, boom, everything stops. It's going to be 3 weeks. It's going to be 3 months. Here we are 5 years later. We're still talking at it, even though we're out of the tunnel, but still some potholes and speed bumps to look for. Tell us how you weathered the storm, and and as you've come out of it, what trends and maybe new products that you have, as we finish off the second half of 2025 and go into 2026.
So, right, the year 2020, when everything was closing down, we expected it to be just a horrible year for sales, construction industry, and all of that. Luckily, right, there was the essentially, if you were deemed to be somebody that was important to day-to-day life, you were able to work, right? And that included the construction industry. So we were lucky that we didn't get shut down or anything like that. Um, and that all of our contractors, right, our core customers, they're all still able to work. And so we expected it to be bad. It ended up being an even year compared to the year before. And then the following year was really big. And what we kind of deemed why that was happening is so many people went from driving to the office every day to working from home, and they were spending so much time at their houses that they were like, oh, we need to do these things, right? We want to update our home, we want to change the roof, do whatever. And so the construction industry really kind of had an uptick during those couple of years. And then following through today, right, we still have good growth. The Denver market, right, for roofing it's an interesting one. It's driven by hail. Every couple of years we'll have a big hailstorm that'll take out a couple 100,000 homes, and that's what really keeps the industry going. We had a couple of big ones last year. This year we haven't had any, but that's what moves Colorado roofing forward. So Rocky Mountain Snow Guards, right? We go through and we just design products for all of the roof types, including the new roofs that are coming out, and kind of trends in snow retention. What we've been seeing in specifically, right, the high mountains, ski towns, things like that, is they have adopted what's called the WUI specification, right? And that's Wildland Urban Interface, which is essentially a fire code from California. And so what that essentially is saying is that the roof can't be combustible, right? So traditional products that were very prevalent in those regions, which is cedar shake, cedar shingles, things like that, are now not allowed by code, but also homeowners insurance are dropping homeowners if they have them, or they're raising their rates to absurd amounts that it's unfeasible to do. So the WUI spec has driven a lot of our business just because they're putting on something that looks like a wood shake, but it's actually a polymer product, right? And there's several companies out there that are doing that. So with the polymer product, right, it loses all of its natural snow holding capabilities. It's non-porous. Essentially, they're plastic. So when the snow falls, once the roof deck heats up and the adhesive bond breaks,
Flips off.
all the snow comes off. And it's essentially been written into code that all of these areas have to have a Class A fire rated roof. But at the same time, their homeowner associations are saying it has to meet these aesthetic values. And so they're really getting pushed into one or two categories of roof, which require snow retention. So specifically in the mountain regions, that's been a huge boom for us for the last 6-7 years. And that's continuing. So that's a really good thing. The other trend that I think is driving some of our businesses, right? I talk about code. It seems every year more jurisdictions are adopting snow retention requirements to their building codes. Vail did it a few years ago. Several big places in Montana and Idaho where they get a lot of snow are doing it, which is, of course, a fantastic thing for our business. So that's kind of where we sit as far as new products. We do in-house testing. So we go through, we'll talk to contractors, see what they want, build up a mock product, test it, see if it's feasible. And so this year we came out with a remake of our really popular snow guard, which was the Rocky Guard, the RG. And we redesigned it to be more contractor focused, right? What's important to them when they're installing the product. And what we found is that it was just hard to work with on the roof. Contractors, instead of carrying up the 35-pound box up a two-story ladder, right, they were taking them just handfuls at a time, going up on the roof and nailing them in. Well, with our new product, we made it to where it is stackable. So instead of being able to carry like 6 to 7 in a hand, now you can carry 40 in a hand. And so that's been great. And it also made it to where we can make our boxes a lot smaller, which helps all of our like stocking contractors or distribution to where it takes up a lot less space in their warehouse. It saves their contractors on their shipping costs, things like that. And everything that we've heard has been very positive to it, to the point where really the Rocky Guard line has 2 different sizes in it. And that's just because we're not bringing in those products, the Everest in that size. So that's been a really great thing. We also changed it to where it's stronger, right? So we did welded versus riveted. The snow retention that we have overwhelmingly, specifically that line, is far overbuilt compared to the needs, right? So I've got a snow guard that's got a load capability, ultimate load, 2,400 pounds. But it's a 4-inch surface area, and you're never going to hold 2,400 pounds of snow behind 4 inches, right? So it's more designed to work as an assembly. It's more of an art form, designing the system for a roof than a science. And that's been something that's been really fun to talk about, because I deal with, a lot of engineers and architects, and what they want to know is what's the load capability? And it's like, okay,
yeah, how much can it hold up before it slides off or comes down?
Yeah. And so they look at load and it's like, okay, for a square of a roof at 135-pound snow load, you can use 2. right? But it doesn't work out that way in practice, right? Two snow guards are never going to hold a square of snow.
No.
So we've had to go through and walk through with the engineers and tell them how this all works and whatnot, which is it's fun and it's nice that we have the load testing data to back it up. So that's kind of our newest guard. It's the Everest. And then we are one of the bigger distributors for S5, really the biggest for snow retention in the Rocky Mountain region. And they came out with an update to their product, ColorGard. And so now it's ColorGard 2.0. And they did very similar things that we did when we introduced the Everest, right? Where are the shortcomings of this product in the contractor's eye? And what they came up with is that the assembly time and the installation was burdensome. It's a very cost effective system. It's a great system. It's very strong, but it was kind of a pain in the ass to put up. And so what they did instead of 8-foot bars, you have to slide each piece down before you mount it onto the roof, and then there's no way to adjust it once it's mounted on the roof without taking it off. So this time they came through and it just drops in and then locks. So now they're able to go through, put one or two, clips down, mount them, and then they can go through and do everything in between in the field while it's already mounted to the roof. So it saved a bunch of time. They've changed, a couple of dimensions on a couple of pieces, but overwhelmingly, that's been a big success too. Both of those happened about 2 months ago.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with S5. I know I've had the owner on the podcast, and
Nice.
and one of my good buds, Dan Belling, he's the VP of sales. I don't know if he's director or VP of sales over there anyway, but he was in a bunch of different sectors over the years, but he's been there for a while. And he had just, I put a residential column in my magazine over our build, talking about what I learned, hey, dealing with the municipality, permitting, blah, blah, blah. So I knew Dan built his house. I said, when you're finished, we'll put you on there. So Dan was from S5. He was just on my residential cover talking about his build that he did because he did his self-build too. So it
Nice.
relates to everything we were talking about. But S5, really good company too. And I didn't know that you were a distributor of, of them. That's what you are, right? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
We worked with them really closely. We designed with their help, right? It was a combo. But we made what we call the Blizzard 2, which is a two-pipe snow fence that attaches to their clamps, and they marketed it as a dual pipe. So we actually have worked with S5 to develop products, which has been very cool. And we're also the only people that are able to put S5 on every roof type.
Hmm.
That's through a lot of stuff that we've done internally and also having them build an adapter for it. So now I can mount S5 to any roof instead of just metal.
When you said about the hail in Denver, for those of you who don't understand, Denver, during the summer, you can get some serious hailstorms. During the winter too, but more during the spring and summer. But, every day when I was out there, it could be beautiful. And about the heat would build up, and about 3:30, 4:30, there'd be a thunderstorm comes off the Rockies into the foothills, and it could dump some serious hail. It dent your car, it dent the roof. So, when you said that, I was like, oh, wow, I forgot that happened. Because every day, and it could be a thunderstorm, and a couple miles down, it would be dry. They would just build up, and then it would clear out. You'd have about 45-minute thunderstorm, and then it would blow out, and it'd be nice for, the evening. But every day there'd be, hail. Not every day, but it was a frequent occurrence.
Yeah.
And, you just never knew what size they were going to be. They could be little pellets that weren't going to do much, or they could be golf ball size and dent the heck out of your roof or your car or truck or whatever it was. So
Yeah.
never a dull day in the Rockies, right?
So when I was working in automotive, right, I worked for a dealership in Lakewood, and it was a Ford dealership, and this was 2015, which is when we had the one of the biggest storms in America's history as far as hail. It ended up being over $1 billion of damage. But I was working there, and we had just got in the very first Ford Focus RS from Germany that landed in the state of Colorado. My dealership got it. That was the day that the hailstorm came,
Oh
and
no.
brand new car was sitting out on the lot, and one of the salespeople ran out to rescue it from the hail and ended up getting his arm broken by a piece of hail.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I'm not shocked at that at all. I mean, listen, I saw some big hail over my days there, and like I said, we had a house out in Vale forever, and but some of the storms that would come in, I didn't really think about it, but now that you say it, back then I wasn't putting one and one together, but it probably was some serious. I saw some serious storms where. now it's prevalent. If you, like I said, our house in Vale, we used to have these Vale, I don't know what the inch load of snow that they would get. I mean, everybody had a sloped roof, but we used to get these huge daggers of ice that were hanging, and they were dangerous. Man, we'd have to go in there. The property they had a crew, a snow crew, that would plow the roads and stuff. But coming off the house, you had to be very, very careful. Looking because if one of those spikes came down, man, those were widow makers. As they call the tree branches coming up, but they're just frozen, just as deadly. And we used to get huge ones that were off the house. And snow retention in that sector, or if you live out in that kind of gig, you got to have it. And the insurance company should have it on there. It's definitely, it's definitely an issue. Um, the other, my parents, they have a house out in Cave Creek, north of Scottsdale. Anyway, they moved, they button up the house, they go back, they're snowbirds, they're out there for the winter, and they go back for the summer, eat back east. Anyway, uh, they have these sensors. Anyway, the water line on the refrigerator broke right the day that they left. And they had a property guy come out every 2 weeks to flush the toilets and stuff. Anyway, he couldn't get the door open. Anyway, he finally did, and a wall of water came out. Everything had to get ripped out. So they put these, when they redid it, they put these little sensors in there, and they're going to make it to code because you can't smell water. You can only kind of hear it, or it's much worse than fire, in my opinion. Anyway, when they redid it, I had this person on my podcast that was putting these sensors in. He said, "Hey, all the insurance companies on a new build, they don't, if you're, especially if you're doing a high-rise multifamily or whatever, they want that stuff in there because water is so dangerous." It's the same thing with snow. If you're in that area with snow retention, they should make that a priority, because not only does it make it safer for anybody but underneath it, but it's also structurally good for the roof itself, because as you build it, you know that it can, when I did my inspection, the local code guy, the county came out to look at everything before I did my major inspection, before I put my drywall in, and it was all downhill from there. Anyway, he told me to put these braces in, so I had hired a third party inspector. So when he left, I asked my third party inspector, Russell, do we need to put those? Did you calculate that stuff on the load? He's like, "Oh, David, man, I've seen so many roofs. Those 4 bars or whatever that he wants to be braces. That's not gonna hold up. And your roof's coming down. It's coming down anyway, And I said, yeah, but I would like to know what it is. So but you can. It's so your roof is just like your floor. It's so important, and it's going to keep your hot. It's going to keep the hot air out, the cold air in, and keep you dry when it needs to, especially with winter rain. And but the retention thing, to build it to code, that I think that's a major plus, because the contractors can, and the architects and the engineers, they can kind of disguise it and make it. And like you said, they've changed it. I think it's a good idea that they don't have that cedar on there, so it can burn. I think all that stuff is all really good stuff. I just wish that some of the places where they have hurricanes, that they would just decide, hey, everybody's got, if you're in Florida and you have you're prone to floods, let's lift the house up. Everybody's got to be built on stilts. Let the
Yep.
water go underneath. But what do I know? I
You
just,
could save a lot of money.
yeah, yeah. But I can't imagine it. What that storm was 2015, $1 billion.
Yeah.
Wow. How
I
long
think
was that?
I want to say it
How
was
long did that
like
storm last?
400,000 homes that were damaged.
Really?
Yeah, it was a wild, wild storm. And really, that drove the roofing industry in Colorado for 3 or 4 years, just because there was so much. And of course, we get the hail chasers, the people that just come in and
Yeah.
do that. But a lot of the smaller companies were able to really get their foot in the door and develop a good business during that time.
Did that storm just hit Denver, or was it Metro Denver all over? Or
So it pretty much followed Sixth Avenue all the way through Denver. So
Mhm.
it was from Golden past Aurora.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a very, very big storm and something they didn't expect for sure. So it was a shock to everybody when the hail started coming down.
What's one of your favorite projects that you worked on with your snow retention systems that you're proud of?
I mean, there's a lot of them. There's it's a property called Highlands Westview. It's up in the mountains. That one was, I think, so fun for me because it was so challenging to get done. right? So they were extending the eaves and they were putting on, synthetics over tile. And so we had to go through and, obviously figure out what's going to happen. But the management company that was involved, they wanted specific aesthetics, right? So they wanted a snow fence at the eave, and then they wanted the snow guards going up. And it was probably 3 or 4 weeks of talking with an engineer and then talking with the company that's actually doing it to figure out how to mount the snow fences at the eave because they were using SIP panels, and the engineer didn't know the shear strength of the SIP panel that we were supposed to fasten to. And so after a while, we finally got the plans for the roof and found out, oh, well, there's metal framing for these eave extensions. That's all the blocking that you need. We know the strength of that. And
Mhm.
so, after weeks of trying to figure something out, we finally found it, got the job done, and they completed the first phase, I want to say last year, and they're working through more of it now. So I think that was one of my favorite ones just because there was so much against us and so much adversity at the start to finally get the system to where it's going to work for everybody involved. It's really just gratifying.
That's awesome. Hey, if there was someone out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk and they were coming into they were branching out with their portfolio of stores, and they were coming into an area where they might need snow retention systems or just, some roofing guidance, for the area that they're not familiar with, how would someone reach out to you or your sales team?
I mean, really through email is how we do most of it because we typically will get the roof plans included in it, right? Because that's critical for us to know what it needs. So email is best, but also we can do calls, right? Call into the company, you can call into me. And also we offer free trainings for anybody, architects, engineers, contractors, whatever it is. So I'll actually go out and meet with them, talk through the product, explain what is snow retention, why do people need it, what is happening on the roof that's causing the snow to all come off in a big slide. And then we also have tons of blogs and articles that talk about it. So we try to make it, and we try to make people as informed as possible because it's not a well understood industry. And most of the time, it's a forethought for homeowners or architects or even contractors sometimes. So,
Do you want to tell us what your email or your phone number is on there, and
oh,
when
yeah.
the edits, I'll put it in there.
So
I'll put it in the description too, but go ahead.
perfect. Yeah. So my phone number, 720-933-0022. That's my direct line. Our office line is 720-379-7756. And that'll get you to the estimators, our inside sales team, and also, right, any sort of logistic questions once you place an order. So that's great. Our website's RockyMountainSnowGuards.com. We also have an e-commerce site called SnowGuard Depot. So if somebody knows what they need and they just want to order it, say at midnight, right? Because we're not in the office, they can go on there and purchase it all, and then it just gets processed through our system and shipped out.
So there you go, people. If you're out there in commercial construction coffee talk land, and you're looking to expand into where they have snow and sleet and ice and things that you don't want falling on you, reach out to Brian and his team. Like I said, I'll put that in the description, and they can be your snow retention. Like I said, they're distributors for S5, and I've known those guys forever there too. So it's an excellent product, and they're always innovating and on the cutting edge. So. If
I think they
anyone,
also
what was that?
tremendous with support. S5, I mean, I just want to prop them up a little bit because I believe in their product so much. S5 has done more testing than I believe any other company in the roofing industry,
Oh,
right? All of their clamps, they've got several different clamps, all for different metal seam profiles and whatnot. So they test every single clamp on all of the different panels that they can get their hands on. And they've even gone through and have been able to write several ASTM specifications. So they know exactly what they're doing on the engineering side. They know exactly the strength of this clamp on this panel. And for me, right, somebody who wants to have the contractor buy it once, the homeowner buy it once, and then it's a solved problem for the rest of that lifetime of the roof. S5 is really on top of that. They want to make sure that their product's going to work perfectly every time.
if you want to meet a real cowboy, the owner, Rob, he's a real cowboy. Okay.
Yeah.
When I had him on, he was telling me some stories. I was just, totally dialed into listening to him, and he's a real cowboy.
Yeah, if you guys ever go to IRE or any of the big
Oh
contract
yeah.
shows, you'll see them. They're the guys that are walking around with cowboy hats.
Oh
That's
yeah.
live
You know,
crew.
they always have a good booth. They got the fire going, the leather chairs, and but he's a real cowboy. He is classic. If you ever get to meet him, you're meeting something that you don't meet every day. It's just yeah. So but if anyone wants to reach me, you can reach me at davidc@ccr-mag.com. Listen, Brian got on here because I know the PR person. She sends me press releases, and I looked at this one. I was like, oh wow, I'd S5 on that. Let's talk to these guys. I didn't know you guys were tied in together. But now I do. But look, it was just piece of paper in email form, and I looked at it and I went back to Kathy. I said, "Hey, we should have them on the podcast." And they went back and forth, and boom, here Brian is. So,
Yep. I
listen,
appreciate you having me.
no, listen, that's the way it works. Look, as I'm a content creator, so I'm addicted to data. I look at stuff all day long. Don't judge it. It's like playing the lottery. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. If you don't send me something, I can't look at it. Very tough to get in the magazine. However, if you send me something, I have two nice ladies that post for me all day. We'll find a place for it on one of the platforms. We make sure it's Google indexed and meta tagged, so everything is good for Google, your SEO. They'll find it on Google's SEO, search engine optimization. If you don't know what that is, that's how Google finds you. And we'll share the link. You share it. It's a win-win. And listen, it could be a new product. It could be an anniversary in your company, a new hire, a charity golf tournament they're doing. Listen, we look at everything. Don't
Cool.
judge it. Just send it to me. And, we'll get it in. Turnaround time for us is about 24 to 72 hours, normally a day or two at the max. And we just post all day. So if you have something, send it to us and, we'll get it in there someplace. So Brian, as we finish up, if there was one positive thought or phrase that you'd like to deliver our listeners out there on commercial construction coffee talk, what would it be?
It's a tough question for me. Um, you can only do the best that you can do, and you should expect to always do that.
Yeah, yeah. Do your best. Forget the rest. Just leave it all out in the field. As long as you can look yourself in the mirror at the end of the night and you gave it your all that day, either you win or you learned, it's okay. Wake up and go do it again and be better than you were yesterday and be better than you're going to be tomorrow. So
Absolutely.
always be learning. But hey, I'm with you there. Be the best you can be. So a couple of things before we finish up. Number one, if you're on a construction site, we want you to be safe. We want you to get home, be able to have dinner with your spouse, your husband, your wife, your kids, your pets, all that good stuff. Number two, if you're out there, did I bring my bottle out? I think I left it. If you're out there uh, on the construction site, make sure you stay hydrated. I know it's summer, but even in the winter, you got to drink your water. All right. Put some electrolytes in there. This is the athlete me. We can get dehydrated. You make the lousy pass. You miss the net. Same thing with construction sites. When you don't stay hydrated, you make mistakes. You might get injured, a couple stitches, whatever. We don't want any of that to happen. Number one, if you stay hot, liquefied, you're gonna have a much better day on the site. Number two, you're gonna have a much better day when you get home, and you're gonna sleep better. That makes it a whole positive for the following day. So if you just take care of your body, just like you take care of the roofs, same thing. You take care of your body, it's like a thoroughbred. It'll perform for you as long as you're breathing. All you have to do is just do your little maintenance and just drinking water. It's good for you. So, uh, and last but not least, hit the like button. So, all you guys out on YouTube, you'll find the algorithms and they'll find this episode and they can hear about what Brian has to say about, Rocky Mountain. Hey, there are cohorts down the road in Colorado Springs S5 and the biggest hailstorm ever in Denver's history, which I'm going to go Google it because I didn't know that happened. But I was through plenty of hailstorms during my days back out there in Big D, in the Mile High. So, with that, Brian, any last thoughts before you sign off from the foothills of the Rockies?
No, I appreciate you having me on, and I'm glad we can get some information out to the people that watch this, and I'm just excited to be here, man.
Well, listen, if I get out there, I'd love to come by and see your facility or and take me out on a couple projects and hey, heck, maybe we'll go fly fishing or something if it's the summer. If not, hey, I always like putting the boards on and go skiing too. So
Yeah, absolutely. When you're in town, let me know.
all right, it sounds good. Uh, say goodbye from Colorado.
See ya. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm going to sign off from Lake Lanier, about 30 miles north of downtown. And listen, it's the second month, excuse me, the second half of the year. You got a little less than 170 days before we ring in 2026 and say adios for 2025. Make sure you go full tilt to the end of the year. July is basically the midway point of the year, so you can look back, tweak, look at what you did the first 6 months, rehash. It's like halftime in a football game. Now it's the second half, and it's time to get the W on the board and have momentum as you start the new year. So just put your blinders on, stay positive, and have fun. So with that said, we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Brian, I look forward to meeting you when I get out there. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Have a great rest of your Thursday and happy TGIF tomorrow and the weekend. We'll see you next time. See ya.